Respected elders, educationists, Tamil scholars, and dear teachers and students, welcome. First, it is my kind request that those who having a subscribe our channel so far may kindly subscribe it. Respected elders, educationists, Tamil scholars, and dear teachers and students. First, I have to give you one main thing regarding the production of sounds. Scientifically, we have to know many things regarding the production of sounds and phonemes. First of all, we have to know to produce a sound, a particular organ of our body should send out the air in the mouth. Then only a sound could be produced. The organ that helps to produce a sound is called known as vocal cord. Vocal cord. Kural non. Only with the help of this vocal cord, the air within the mouth could be sent out and a sound could be produced. That we ought to know first. That we ought to know first. Today, I'm going to give you the production of first 8 diphthong Tamil phonemes out of the 21 consonant phonemes. See, I'm going to explain the production of each phoneme according to the description, according to the definition, according to the formula given by Tulgopia. In addition, the definitions of Tulgopia, I had to use the knowledge that I have gained from the book of the greatest English phonetician, Daniel Jones. It is Daniel Jones' book of phonetics helped me a lot, very lot, to learn the phonemes of not only English phonemes but also of Tamil phonemes. So we will talk about it in the following classes. Today, let us see how the first 8 consonant Tamil phonemes are produced. Come. "21 consonant phonemes are used in Tamil. Today, we are going to see the first 8 consonant phonemes: I, in, ich, in, it, in, it, in. Come. According to Tolgopium, the first Tamil consonant phoneme ik is produced by raising the back of the tongue to the back of the mouth and making a tight contact with that. This is the definition or protection of the phoneme ik given by Tolgopium. In addition to the definition of Tolgopium, I would like to give some more explanations regarding the protection of this phoneme. Let us see that. The phoneme ik is produced by raising the back of the tongue towards the soft palate and making a tight contact and sending out the blocked air through the side passage of the mouth, through the sides of the tongue. That is, when the air in the mouth is pushed out by the vocal cords, the air escapes through the sides of the tongue, making the sound ik. This is the way how this consonant phoneme is produced. See, the back of the tongue is raised to the soft palate, that is to the back of the tongue, and a tight contact is made. Now, when the air in the mouth is pushed out by the vocal cords, the air escapes through the sides of the tongue, making the sound ik with some plosive sound. So, this phoneme is called plosive. This is the way how the first consonant phoneme, Tamil consonant phoneme, ik, is formed. That is, Ik, ik, ik is formed by raising the back of the tongue towards the soft palate and making a tight contact and sending up the plucked ear through the sides of the tongue. Through the sides of the tongue. Example, a car, காக்கை. Let us see how the second phoneme, its name is ing, ing, ing. Let us see how this phoneme is formed. Again, according to Tolavapium, this phoneme is produced by raising the back of the tongue towards the soft palate and making a tight contact with that. So, some more explanations regarding the production of this phoneme. That is, the phoneme ing is produced by raising the back of the tongue towards the soft palate and making a tight contact with the palate and sending out the black air through the nasal passage, that is through the nose. That is, the air blocked because of the raising of the back of the tongue and having a close contact with the soft palate. When the blocked ear, when the vocal cords push out the blocked ear escapes through the nasal passage, that is through the nose, making the nasal ing, making the nasal ing. That is, ing is produced by raising the back of the tongue towards the soft palate and making a tight contact with that and sending out the air through the nose. Example, mangai, tangam, singam. Now let us see the production of the third Thamizh consonant phoneme, ich. This phoneme is produced by raising the center of the tongue to the center of the root and making a tight contact with the center and sending out the blocked ear through the sides of the tongue, sending out the ear through the sides of the tongue. That is, the ear blocked because of raising the center of the tongue and making a tight contact with the center of the tongue. The blocked ear escapes through the sides of the tongue when the vocal cords push them out. When the vocal cords push them out, the air escapes through the sides of the tongue, producing the sound each. Thus, the sound, the phoneme each is produced by raising the center of the tongue towards the center of the roof and making a tight contact and sending up the air through the sides of the tongue. Now let us see how the nasal ing is produced. Ing is produced by raising the center of the tongue towards the center of the row and making a tight contact with the center. Then sending out the air through the nasal passage, that is through the nose. That is, when the vocal cords push out the blocked air, it escapes through the nasal passage, that is through the nose, making the sound ing, Yes, the sound. Thus we can define. The phoneme ing is produced by raising the center of the tongue towards the center of the roof and making a tight contact and sending out the blocked air through the nose. So it is called a nasal. Dear teachers and students, here we have to see one main thing, that is both ik and ing as well as ich and ing. Ik and ing are produced at the same place, and also the phonemes ich and ing are produced having the tongue at the same place, but each of these two pairs are different from one another. How? In the production of ik, the air escapes through the mouth, but in the production of ing, the air escapes through the nose. Like that, in the production of ich, the air escapes through the mouth, but in the production of ing, the air escapes through the nasals. The blocked air escapes through the nasals, through the nose, producing the sound ing. Here I have to say one main thing to you. Dear teachers and students, we could produce we could produce the sound ich by tightly holding the nose. Ich. But we can't produce the sound ing by tightly holding the nose. I can't. Ing. When the nasal cavity is free, the air is capable of escaping through the nose. So this is the main thing that you have to know. Then let us see the production of the fifth consonant Tamil phoneme. Its name is id, id, id. The phoneme, consonant phoneme, the Tamil consonant phoneme, id, is produced by raising the tip of the tongue towards the front mouth, that is towards the hard palate, and making a contact, tight contact with the mouth, and sending out the air through the sides of the tongue. That is, the sound it is produced by raising the tip of the tongue towards the hard palate and making a tight contact and sending out the air through the sides of the tongue. That is, the air within the mouth escapes through the sides of the tongue when the vocal cords push the air out. When the vocal cords push the air out, the air escapes through the sides of the tongue and escapes through the mouth. This is how the sound it is produced. That is, it is produced by raising the tip of the tongue towards the hard palate and making a tight contact with the hard palate and sending out the air through the sides of the tongue. Example: pattam, sattam. Then let us see how the sixth phoneme in is produced. This is according to Tulvapiyam and Nannu. The phoneme, the in, is produced by raising the tip of the tongue towards the hard palate and making a tight contact and sending out the air to the sides of the tongue. That is, when the tip of the tongue is having a tight contact with the hard palate, and when the vocal cords push out the air escapes through the sides of the tongue, making the sound A. That is, making the sound A. That is, here, when the tip of the tongue is raised towards the hard palate and makes a tight contact and sends out the air through the nasal passage, that is through the nose, the sound in is produced. That is, when the tip of the tongue raises and make a tight contact with the hard palate and sends out the air through the nose, the phoneme in is produced. The phoneme in. Right. Let us define it correctly. When the tip of the tongue rises towards the hard palate and makes a tight contact and sends out the air through the nasal passage, that is through the nose, the sound in is produced. in. Example, pen, can. In the protection of it, the air escapes this way, this way. In the protection of in, the air escapes through this way, through the nasal passage and through this cavity, nasal cavity. Let us see. The protection of the seventh Thamizh consonant phoneme, it, it. According to Tulgapiyam, the phoneme, the consonant Tamil phoneme, it is produced by raising the tip of the tongue and making a tight contact with the spread of the lip with the upper teeth ridge and sending out the air through the sides of the tongue. The phoneme it is produced. That is, the phoneme it is produced by raising the tip of the tongue towards the upper teeth ridge and making a tight contact and sending out the air through the sides of the tongue. That is, when the tip of the tongue is having a tight contact with the upper teeth ridge, the air in the mouth, when the vocal cords push it out, it escapes through the sides, the air, the blocked air escapes, making the sound it, 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 it. Example, nattai, vittai. Let us see the protection of the sound it again. It is produced by raising the tip of the tongue towards the upper teeth ridge and making a tight contact with it and sending out the air through the sides of the tongue. Now let us see the protection of the eighth Tamil consonant phoneme, in, in. The phoneme in is produced by raising the tip of the tongue towards the upper teeth ridge and making a tight contact and sending out the air through the sides of the tongue. I'm very sorry. See, the nasal in is produced by raising the tip of the tongue towards the upper teeth ridge and making a tight contact and sending out the air through the nasal passage, that is through the nose. That is, when the tip of the tongue is having a tight contact with the upper teeth ridge, the blocked air escapes through the nasal passage, that is through the nose, when the when the vocal cords push them out. When the vocal cord push them out, the blood air escapes to the nasal passage. That is through the nose. That is through this way escapes, making the sound in, making the sound in. Thus, let us define the production of the consonant phoneme in. In is produced by raising the tip of the tongue towards the upper teeth ridge and making a tight contact and sending out the blocked air through the nose. Through the nose. So it is called a nasal. In is a nasal. Example: onion, unknown. Respected elders, educationists, Tamil scholars, and teachers and students. So far we have seen the production of the first 8 Tamil consonant phonemes. See, go through it again and again. Then only you can understand the factors standing begin the production of these phonemes. See, what are the 8 phonemes that I have taught you today? Each pair of the phonemes are formed at the same place, but the way of their production are entirely different. One phoneme is formed sending out so the tongue position is the same, but the air is sent out either by the mouth, either through the mouth or through the nose. When the tongue is in a particular position and the air is sent out through the mouth, one kind of phoneme is formed. And when the tongue position is the same and the air is sent out through the nose, the phoneme produced is different. It is the nasal. One is the plosive or tender. One is plosive or tender, etc. But these 4, in, and in, these 4 phonemes are nasals. These are born because of sending out the air through the nose. That we ought to know. how the plosives and tendrils and nasals are born. Just go through the diagram again and again and try to understand it and do it by yourself. Dear teachers and students, in the next class, we will see the remaining 13 Tamil consonant phonemes. And then we will go to English, the production of English phonemes. We will see in the next class. Thank you.